Hey folks, it's your boy Iceberg Bricks, and I'm bringing you my experience of building the UCS Ghost ship with brick vault instructions, of course. Started this about a year ago. It sits about 39.5 inches long, or 98 centimeters, 33.5 inches wide, or 85 centimeters, 14 inches tall, or that's about 36 centimeters. The instructions at the time cost me $75. It's much cheaper now. And I'm gonna go ahead and give you the bellyache up front. It cost me over $1,800 to build. This set sits about over 11,500 pieces, and I have logged in about 320 hours of work on this build. So it took me some time, and it took me a lot of patience. So the next images are some still shots of the progression of the ship from beginning to end, and then I'll be showing some video footage of the ship as well. So just hang tight for the ride.
Let's go.
So now we are actually looking at the base of the ship here, and this is where the bottom base tail splits up the middle of the ship. That's where it docks in at. So I'm at the point now where I just realized what I got myself into. I acquired some pieces thinking it was going to be a quick build. Shame on me. I was dived in nose deep on this one. So then you invest in so much where you can't bail out. And so I kept going. And so you can see it's a lot of Technobrick, a lot of tiling and panels as well, and a lot of wedge plates, as you can see. Not just all studs or just Technic pins, even though I did acquire a lot of Technic pins. One thing that was difficult was actually building this turret that you see right here in the front. Not so much of the guns, but the actual face of it. Now you'll see some pieces here that are off colored because I had to do, I had to make do with what I had. I didn't acquire so many pieces, and then on top of that, some of the pieces through Bricklink was just that much of expensive. That piece that we're just looking at that discolored was like $15 for one piece. And so I just opted to go the cheaper route and just go with a dark color for that piece. So some colors that I have are just a little bit off. It's noticeable, but not too much. And so I think that you really have to consider some things when you take on a build like this. I learned the hard way. I did. I don't like the actual landing pads here, or not the landing pads, but the foots for the bottom of the ship here. They're very fragile, as you can see, and you're probably gonna have to crackle them. So I didn't like this piece here at all, and it took me some time to reconfigure. You actually take the plastic rope piece to bend into like a circle to make that circle there, and as you can see, it doesn't attach to the other Lego pieces, so that was pretty difficult. Inside, you're actually looking at the loading bay right there. That's the entrance to the loading bay right there, and I think that's interesting. I think that they could have done a lot more with that piece there. When you put the quarters over top of it, which you'll see later on, you really don't see that part anymore. This right here is would be the escape pods or the wings of the ship. They run east and west. And so when I made the first one, I was very excited because you can start seeing the shape of the ship. And so when you made the second one, I started running out of room because this thing was long, very long. And so, you're looking at 30, that was it, I want to say probably about 33 inches. So the span on this thing was huge. Now it's sitting on top of my coffee table, so now you can see just the length of this thing is just ridiculous. And again, excuse the bricks. I thank God for Classic Plastic because he came through with some pieces that I needed, and so the pieces fit. And of course, there's some color differences, but you don't notice once the ship is done. I guarantee it. So these are some pieces that you just don't see because being inside the ship. So I wasn't too much worried about those colors. But again, if you're concerned about those colors, then you would really take a dive with the price. I think I could see the price going up a little bit more. So I made do with the colors that I had, and it actually worked out for me. But yeah, I knew that I bit off more than I can chew once I completed this part of the ship, which is extremely long. This here, we're looking at the top of the hull, would be the hull of the ship. And so this is of course, this is the stern side with the jet engines, 2 of the 4 jet engines, I should say. And I had to sit these here on pick-a-brick cups because of its shape. Of course, they did the snot technique, of course, to build some of the engines to the rear or the stern of the ship as well. I was really digging these engines, man. These engines are awesome with all these slope pieces, these curved slope pieces and everything. Now, this is the docking bay for the Phantom. If they ever make a UCS Phantom, it would go there. I attempted at one, but I kind of failed, crashed and burned. I might go back to it. Here's the turret, to the top turret of the UCS Ghost, and as you see, there's a minifigure in there. I put one of the clone guys in there. I think it's Commander Wolf that's sitting in it, but usually it would be Zeb that was sitting there. And I'll get back to that piece about why I didn't kind of like it. And so, as you can see, you got a lot of tile panels there, some wedge plates there as well. That piece right there is the center of a hallway that you don't get to really see, and you'll see what I'm talking about once all this thing's put together. So you spend some time detailing that little corridor, but you really don't get to see it. A lot of yellow, and one thing I do like about this build is that it did use, I mean, it's predominantly white, but it did use other colors that you throw in here to kind of mix it up a bit, and I did appreciate that. And there's that top turret, so I'm gonna go ahead and talk about it now. That turret and the minifigure that's inside that turret is part of the build. If you move the minifigure, you lose the turret. So, and that's one fail that I didn't like about that. I think they should have built a better turret. So naturally, with the build, you acquire a lot of minifigures. So you gotta have the whole crew. So I went out and made sure I got the sets that had part of the crew, and the ones that didn't come with any sets, I went out and bought myself. And so you acquire a lot of minifigures with a large build, plus more on the way. Gotta have clone troopers, right? Alright, let's head down to the crew quarters. A lot of detail on this build here. Here is Sabine's quarters. As you can see, she was a graffiti artist, so they put into the detail with all the different colored tiles in her room to showcase her artistic ability, letting you know that she had character. So the different colored tiles on the wall and on the floor definitely showed her character of being a rebel. Across the hall, you had the captain's quarters, which really doesn't look like much. So she had a solo bunker, and she was the love interest of Kanan. But, for the sake of the crew, they kind of stayed space a little bit. Of course, she's got a little extra amenities. She is the captain and pilot of the ship. Across the hall, you have Kanan's quarters, who is a solo bunker. He was the fearless leader, but his bunker really don't look like much. And when he loses his eyesight in the series as well, I guess it doesn't really matter. He has a small vanity mirror with a light on it as well. No place to hold his saber, though. I didn't understand that. Down the hall, you have Zeb and Ezra's bunk. Ezra was on the top and Zeb was on the bottom, and they really didn't, this bunker really didn't look like much. Maybe it was a guest bunker because they didn't want them around that long. I don't know, but a lot of tiles on this here part of the build, and a lot of like grates. I like the different textures that they did, the techniques that they did for some certain textures, like where the steps are on the walls here. As you're looking here to the right, you can see a different technique here. Now if you look down the hall here, you can see the slopes and all the tiles for that hall there. And here's the UCS Ghost in all her glory. Alright, let's take a look inside the UCS Rebels Ghost. Take a couple shots around. This thing is massive. It's sitting off of this circle table I have here. As you can see, some of the panels, they'll have some gaps in between because you don't have that centerpiece pushing up against the plate of plates. But inside we're looking at the loading cargo bay. And that's the logo the cargo bay ramp right here. I think this cargo bay is awesome looking. That's the cockpit right there. That's where Hera controls the Ghost, and Ezra would sit down in that turret down there, and with those guns right there. Taking a look inside, you see this thing is hollow. There's that hallway that you spend so much time decorating that you don't get to see. It's very dark down there, and it really leads nowhere in that build, not left or right or front to back. But as you can see, the build is very hollowed with Technic bricks. It looks solid, once you put the cap on top, but it's all Technic bricks inside. And there's the plate of plates. Like I said, there's some gaps there because you don't have that centerpiece pushing the two plates out to cover those gaps. And it was just all by design, of course. And here's the part of that rear engine. I had a little bit of problems with the the main engine sagging. And that was very unfortunate, and so I had to go back in and take everything apart, try to tighten everything back up, and it sagged a little bit. You can see a little bit of sagging, but not as bad as it was when it first started. It was terrible, but they don't tell you that in the instructions. They don't. I had to reach out to them, and they told me exactly what to do to kind of stop it from sagging, but it still sags just a bit. But it's workable. It is what it is right at this point. So a few more shots going around here. So as you can see, these slope pieces right here in front of the cargo bay, the 2x4 ones, I was able to get. They were a little bit less costly than the 1x2 ones. Those are more costly in the LBG, so I kind of left it as it is. Here's a shot of the undercarriage, because there's a lot of detail going on under here. They even had a buildable stand, which is kind of shaky. I think I even have to crackle the stand too, because it's kind of shaky. There's a lot of weight in the back, folks. So if that stand wasn't there, it would topple over. And so, I mean, of course, that's the design of the ship. I mean, there's no getting around that. So it needs a stand to stay upright, or it would topple over because of all the weight that are on the back. These engines are very massive. They gave me the blues with putting together, and then with the sagging as well. That was my biggest pet peeve of this build, was the engine sagging. And so I definitely got my money's worth when it come to working some problems out, because this thing came with some problems that you had to work out. And there's that turret, and poor Commander Wolf's probably never going to come out of there, because that turret needs to stay on top. And I'll show you what I mean. So they got handles. The handles is actually holding the glass, the bubble glass up of the turret here. It sits in those two slots right there, the two handles there. And he is holding on to the handles in the seat. The seat moves around 360 with him in it. So now he is a part of the build. You take him out, you lose the turret. And you can take him out and swap him in, but you lose the turret when you take the minifig out. Alright, here's a shot of Zebby inside the turret. We pulled Commander Wolf out, and we subbed in Zebby. That's where Zeb should be. Expensive build for an expensive minifig. Zeb is a one-shot deal. He's only in one set, so his bricklink price is quite high than usual. And so I took the living quarters and placed it on top of the cargo bay where it belongs, and so I put some minifigs inside, so you can kind of see what the living quarters look like with the minifigs inside. Of course, that's Chopper back there in the hallway, and you see how it fits flush with the cockpit right there. And everybody's inside there. You see Ezra in the front side turret with the cargo bay door open, of course. And you see the crew sitting inside the cockpit area. So folks, that's going to conclude this video. Tell me what you think about this build. Tell me you think I was just mad crazy for going through this whole thing. I know I was. But let me know what you think. Let me know how I craft this thing. I'm going to try to take this thing on the road with me. I don't know because of the weight and everything, but we'll see. But definitely give me a couple likes. Give me a couple of comments. Give me some feedback, folks. I hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks.